smart communities that are happening at the moment. So I'll follow that up and try and make that happen in the next month or so.
There has been, I'm noticing just today that there is not only smart cities, there's smart communities conferences coming up. So I think that there should be some involvement by regional councils and in smart communities if we can. So that was actually a resolution. Do we ask Councillor Bell to?
No, it's okay. It's
Still
just
on?
it's still an ongoing action.
Alrighty. On to the upcoming agenda items. Jason, you've got a comment to make.
Certainly, there are a couple of long-standing matters there that we're trying to deal with. There's a report that was in July and again in November regarding our customer request management, what our interim solutions are in advance of the work being done in the technology project. I haven't had a chance to go through that work with Daniel or also with the General Manager Commercial Services around the other broader initiatives on customer service. So we'll get our heads together over the next month and bring that back to the May committee meeting for a discussion. The other outstanding actions, I'll certainly take those on board to follow up, particularly the older ones, and try and get some information together regarding also the smart cities work that have been raised previously back through Daniel. So otherwise, the looking forward, the two items scheduled for today are on today's agenda, and we'll continue that bi-monthly approach to the safety and workforce reporting as needed.
Any other comments about?
There are no petitions, Madam Chair.
Committee recommendations notes? No.
Neil, Madam Chair.
And has anybody got any material personal interest, conflict of interest, personal gifts and benefits? Unfortunately, no gifts is gifts. No gifts. All right, so we're moving to the body of today's meeting and corporate services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councillors, this afternoon is an opportunity for us to present an update in relation to the technology project. We have in front of you some extracts from what our regular reporting is to the steering group and the status of the project and how it's progressing. We've recently done some updates to the organisation, and one of our officers who's intimately involved in that project, Clinton, will make a presentation to Council today. That technology is coming online now, so the presentation probably runs for about 10 or 15 minutes to give you a real sense of where the project's at and what it means, and then happy to take questions after that, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clinton.
Thanks, Jason. So this update provides a snapshot on where we are at as of March this year. We started off with a bit of a reinforcement of what the Toto project was about. So it's not just about our Technology One software. There are a number of bodies of work and upgrades to our technologies that are going to be supporting us improving our technology state overall. It's all about being able to provide a mobile workforce that can work from anywhere and to have better, be able to provide improved services to our communities using technology. At our sessions in March with our model champions and whole of nation team, our coordinators and supervisors, we provide a bit of context as to what we're talking about when it comes to cloud. So cloud is not a physical thing. It's a network of servers that sits somewhere, whether it's in a warehouse in Sydney. An example that was used was it's like a shed on a farm with a bunch of racks, and it's just got a whole layer of servers sitting in there, which they class in technology terms a cloud. So you connect to it via the internet. and those servers provide a range of functions, whether that's emails, applications, storage. So it's not something that's physical, it's something that you connect to over the internet. So when we talk about moving to the cloud, it's about moving from our servers being here in our server room downstairs to connecting to them over the web. Office 365, so it's essentially an online version of your Microsoft Office products, so your Word, Excel, Outlook programs. It's essentially the online version that you access via our web browser. So we will have access to both our current applications as well as the web version when we roll out that body of work, as well as a few new tools, being OneDrive and OneNote. And Windows 10 is the newest operating system that Microsoft have released. So we'll be looking to upgrade from our current Windows 7 platform up to Windows 10 to bring ourselves up to date, have access to the latest functionality. We clarified sort of what Technology One Council is. So Technology One is the vendor that we have purchased the software from, and the software product that we have purchased is One Council. So it's a specially designed software piece for local governments that consists of a range of modules. And the, I guess, special thing about One Council is it's cloud-based, so we can access it anywhere at any time and essentially on any device that has web browser and access to the internet. And we're looking, well, one of the main reasons why we went to this software suite is to be able to have one integrated system. So instead of having a number of applications that don't talk to each other, and our staff have to do manual processes to move data between systems, we're looking at having one system that talks to between all the modules to make business more efficient.
So that wheel on the diagram that you saw there, councillors, is probably a really good representation of, you know, everything we're getting. You can see the genuine breakup of the systems that we utilise, and as Clinton's articulated, it's the fact that it is joined up and connected that delivers some better productivity gains for us as an organisation, not having to change and exchange data between different applications. Thanks.
Thanks, Jason. So this next slide is a pictorial sort of the process flow that we'll be following with relation to the project. So first milestone, which has already been completed, with moving our email servers to the cloud. Following that, we'll be looking to upgrade to Windows 10 on all of our desktop and laptops. Then looking to bring in the utilisation of Office 365 products, particularly your OneNote and OneDrive, which are new technologies for our council. And then our movement of our document management system, ECM, up into the cloud so that it can talk to the One Council solution for the storage of all documents and attachments. So those are the extra sort of other technology upgrades that will be happening before we actually get to our go live of the Technology One Council software. We did provide a high-level schedule of the key milestones. So it is a little difficult to read. There are a lot of acronyms in there, so this schedule is pulled directly from our project plan. We did provide a terminology sheet there to help people interpret it. But the key points are that between January and June, so this period here, the project's heavy on the configuration, the planning and design aspects of the system. So we do get shipped a pre-built solution that is built for local governments, but obviously there are some areas where we require to do business slightly differently for whatever reason. So there is still an element of configuration and design that needs to be undertaken. And once that's complete, each module moves into a key user training where our module champions learn their particular modules inside and out, so that they can then be able to verify configuration and do testing on the system that it actually performs the way they would expect it to. So that runs up until about June, and then we roll into the test phases. where all of our module champions and key users go in and test the system end to end, test that the data that's being brought across is correct, and that the right output systems in preparation for us to be able to train what we call our end users. So that's sort of our full staff base in preparation to go live. So some key things that I think.
Why were the two Office 365 and Windows 9 included in these milestones?
They just haven't been, yeah, so we just haven't got the locked in schedule for those bodies of work. So we haven't got exactly when we'll be rolling out the training and actually implementing those pieces of work. So Aaron Jerd and our TOTO project manager Michael Taylor are still working on getting that finalised, so they just hadn't been included in on this schedule yet. At a high level though, the Ops 365 will be slotting in that period between June and October, and Windows 10 will be aiming to be completed by June. So they just hadn't had the date in when Mike produced this diagram for us.
Part of that, Phil, is also we probably can't do a big bang approach to all of this, so we will be through sections and individual departments as we start to build, particularly the Office 365 and Windows 10 migrations. Some of that can be done concurrently, but we can't necessarily roll that out to 100 people all at the same time. It's stage implementation through the organisation. One of the pieces of work Aaron has been working on as well is bringing the support for CHDC back into the organisation, and we're going to use them as early adopters around Office 365 to see what potential training issues come from that, and then use those learnings right into the organisation. Because it'll take a period of months for us to get everybody up to speed. The functionality that sits inside the Office 365 isn't different to what we have now. There's just different and more complex steps, and you might have noticed even in Clint's PowerPoint presentation, he's using those latest versions, and you can see some of the functionality that he's displaying there. So it's more a sustained effort than it will necessarily be a big bang. And the technology one, obviously, we have to turn it on all at the same time, so it can't be dealt with in that staged way. What we're demonstrating, I suppose, is a fairly measured approach to how we're doing this as well as an organisation. And one of the aspects we'll get to soon, and I'll expand further on, will be about the change management processes for the organisation. So thanks.
Thanks, Jason. So in reviewing what we've accomplished between January and March, so with regards to the actual One Council solution, we've had a lot of key user training across a number of modules. So a lot of our module champions now have a better understanding on how their modules work in relation to how they're currently doing things, and they're now sort of moving into the phase of actually exploring the new system, confirming that they've what they've learnt, and finding out where now that they understand how the system works better, whether it's been configured correctly for the way that we do our business. We've had a few workshops where modules have commenced. So as Jason alluded to, it's kind of been a bit of some of these are phases, so we can't do everything at once. Some modules are now further advanced, and so we've got some other modules kick-starting now. So that, in particular, HR and payroll, and within our property and rating system, enforcement, permits and licences.
In terms of organisational effort, there are two areas that require a lot more energy from the organisation. So the HR payroll aspects, obviously there's been numerous publicities over recent years where things haven't been done well around payroll, so we're very cautious about making sure that's locked down. And there's just a lot of effort and complexity associated with our rating practices, so both payroll and rates are areas where we need to put lots of effort in over the coming months for the organisation. So we'll be in a better position by June to know how that fits together. But it's one where we know is really important at this point in time, so we'll be giving it our full attention to push through. Thanks, Clint.
Thanks, Jason. So we have kicked off the ECM move to the cloud component of this project. So we had a project kickoff meeting a technical design workshop, and also workshops around how we go about actually getting our data up into the cloud. Being our document management system, it's got quite a large database behind it, so it's just working through how that is accomplished. Our email move to the cloud, so moving our email server, has been completed. So that was completed in March successfully. We've had a few minor teething issues, but for the most part, like the actual email services actually continuing to work and no loss of emails was, I guess, viewed as a success. It was just minor sort of usability issues for certain functions that we had to work through. We have engaged with a partner called All About Expert to help with the data migration for this project. So they'll be starting workshops this month. We're working with our module champions, and that's understanding where all our data currently sits, what systems it's in. Is it actually in a system, or is it just in like an Excel document? So as I touched on before, we currently have different systems doing different things and they don't talk to each other. So data migration is going to be a huge component of this project to actually bring all that together and get it into the one system and bring it across to what format it needs to be in. So we have engaged a company to help us with that process, given the large complexity of it. Windows 10 pilot, so we commenced that within the IT team, which was just testing the install process of Windows 10 and actually upgrading that from Windows 7. And we have been working through some bugs that's been identified in that. And we have kick-started discussions around a new scanning solution that will work hand in hand with us being able to automate things such as electronic invoicing. So it's the process of actually getting physical papers or documents that are on emails as much as we can automated straight into TechOne system and linked to where it needs to be, rather than having someone manually doing that work. So there's software solutions out there to help us with that process.
Probably the big piece in that, councillors, is that concept of the data migration. We have a lot of data in a lot of different places that we're trying to bring into one space, and it's also the historical data that sits with that. So our ability to go back through the life of our organisation of 10 years now and find that data and be able to reliably and efficiently pull it out. So that's part of the complexity that I think we talked about there, and our ability to go back through old systems and find information, because not all of that history would be converted for everything that we do into the Technology One project. That would be inefficient, so we need to make sure we can pull that information through different applications to be able to go back into our history. So it is an important piece of what we're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. We touched on at the sessions that we did with the managers just around some of the, I guess, real success factors in the last 2 months. So the first being the move of emails to the cloud, as well as giving acknowledgement to Rebecca Brosnan for the progress that she made in the request management module. So request management is what currently we call CRM, or the customer request. So in Technology One, the terminology that they use is request management, because it's a request for service or request for information from anyone. So it can be used both for internal customers as well as external customers. And yeah, Beck Brosnan in particular made large leaps ahead in that area, and we want to acknowledge that. We touched on 3 key points that have been proving problematic. The first of those was some scheduling with Technology One, the vendor. So our project manager being able to get agendas and confirmations of sessions in advance. We were in some instances only getting it a few days before they were wanting to have the sessions conducted. So that is something that Michael Taylor and Jason Bradshaw have been working with Technology One on improving. And since then it has improved for some of our sessions, so hopefully that will continue. We did bring up a issue around communication with the managers and making sure that information about this project is getting out to all staff. It's on the back of our email move to the cloud. some of the issues that questions that we're getting after that had been completed seemed to be from staff that were unaware of what was going on. So we brought it up as a concern at that manager level and coordinator level as to whether they were effectively communicating updates about the project and the information that was going on, as well as just touch on some resourcing issues. So we did have a few module champions and key users leave the organisation, so that obviously has some risk to the project that we have to bring someone new in, or that workload has to shift onto another individual. And we did lose a couple of consultants in our financials area from Technology One, so we wanted to just we're identifying that with the group.
That might be a good opportunity for me to talk a little bit about the change management processes, and Ben's highlighted a few issues there that have been problematic, but not things we haven't been able to overcome. We have done a lot of work in preparing the organisation around the change management practices for doing business differently, and inside that strategy, you might remember from a session we did with Sea Change Consulting here in the chamber that we actually have a change management strategy. We have individual plans around particularly communication, training, and other aspects of the change. So that strategy is, all but complete at this point in time, and we're going back around through the communication plan to make sure that people are getting the messages through. And part of that are the badges that you see me and others wearing in the organisation to raise the awareness and get people's understanding to change up through the organisation. We have started some broader change sessions right through the organisation. A couple of weeks ago we were in Capella talking generally about change management, and all of the staff will see training around change management, preparing them for doing business differently, and we're getting some really positive feedback on that preparation. It's really key to not only changing technology but also changing the way we work as an organisation. So that's going well at this point in time, and I think the change management strategy is part of the success we're achieving to date, is that people are generally aware with what's happening, and we're giving a level of confidence that training will be provided and people will have the necessary skills by the time we get to day one. It's been a sustained effort, probably for over 12 months now to get us to this point, but we know just to get to the starting line in October, there's a lot more effort required at this point in time. But the success to date is reflecting our structured approach as well, I think.
Thanks, Jason. So touching on what the plan is for the next 2 months, so we will be commencing scoping and planning workshops for the data migration. There'll be a number of workshops around the property and rating system that will be continuing. Our module champions are undertaking what we call exploratory testing, so that's them getting familiar with the system, reinforcing what they learned in their training and workshops, and generally becoming familiar so that when it comes to doing full end-to-end process testing, that they aren't sort of trying to be familiar with the system as well as test the process. They're sort of only focusing on the process and the outcomes at that point in time. We have planning workshops for GIS integration, so that's our internal mapping system and how it will talk to the One Council solution in the cloud, so that we can be integrating and working with our internal maps. And some of our module champions will be getting engagement with the business, specifically around request management, which is Rebecca Brosnan will be leading that, and our project and works management modules, which Karen Radloff will be spearheading that area. Outside of the Tech One space, so we'll be looking to move our document management system up into the cloud into a test environment. We will be continuing our pilot of Windows 10. So once we finish working through the bugs with the install process, we'll be looking to roll Windows 10 out to some business users in various departments and functions to get them to help us test the applications and make sure there's no issues there before we continue that upgrade. With emails, we'll be looking to move our current email archiving solution across to the Microsoft equivalent. So currently we have a archiving solution that sort of sits separate to all of the rest of our other email infrastructure. So it's just sort of bringing it aligned into the one bucket rather than having separated systems. And in the Office 365 space, we'll be continuing the planning for training and rollout of those products so that we can get that integrated into the schedule. We touched on what we needed from the module champions and managers, which the big focus was around the communication. So making sure the comms around the project were getting out, the managers were talking with their module champions, and that attendances to sessions were being focused on. At the end of the day, without the support of all our managers, supervisors, coordinators when it comes to communication, and as well as our module champions in learning the new system, there's no way that this project would succeed. It definitely wouldn't have the outcome that we're looking to achieve. The last thing that we'll touch on is a video that was prepared to give everyone a snapshot of what is to come. So as the system, as you were seeing on the schedule, is still in the configuration phases, there's not a lot that we can demonstrate to our staff of exactly what it will look like, but we prepared a high level view of sort of what the world will start to look like once TOTO comes out. So I'll just finish off with this quick 3-minute video.
Sure, it was good.
Got a lot to look forward to.
Been waiting for that or
It was working on my screen.
Jason, while we're waiting for that, I just had the question was, like, a few years back we were very reluctant to go into the cloud. Has there ever been a cyber attack on the cloud, or that we know of?
The best answer for that, probably, Councillor Nixon, is there are probably attacks all the time that we don't see. We're paying for high levels of security and redundancy in everything we do. There was a genuine leap of faith around moving everything to the cloud as well. We've done our very best to guard against all of those by working with companies that dedicate their time to best practice. So we're doing everything we can to mitigate those strategies, but in the cyber world we can't give 100% guarantee. At this point in time, there's good security around the data, and that's the key piece that we worry about. But we are paying through our software as a service arrangements with Technology One and our other arrangements with Microsoft for the security and peace of mind that data is as tight as we can make it. Even the data in our own building in the boxes downstairs, that's not 100% free from any attack. We just have lots of defences that stop those things from happening, and I suppose there's some commentary in the agenda later around the cyber security. There are things going on all the time, almost every day, and we just are positioned well enough at this point in time to have those things being managed to the extent that they don't penetrate the organisation. But that comes with a cost as well, so we're paying to make sure that the organisation's data is secure.
Yeah, it's a bit scary having everything in one place.
If I can just comment on that the cloud that we're using, so the two companies in particular is Microsoft with their Office 365 and emails, and Technology One use a cloud provider called Amazon. Both of those companies, being the fact that they're global international companies, would have far better security than what we've actually got or able to put in place on our on-premise. So if anything, in moving to the cloud, it's probably a lot more, I can say it is more secure than what we have in-house. And so, yeah, if Microsoft can't protect against threats, then they're the leaders in it. Like no matter where the data sits, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud, the same threats are there. So it's just about what we do to mitigate that. And I mean, Microsoft have a lot better practices and security functions in place to protect their data than what we can ever provide internally on our own infrastructure.
Councillor Nicholson, just through the audit committee as well, we have through our internal and external audits, there's certainly a section on cyber security as well. So I think that, yeah, it's probably covered pretty well. We'll try to be anyway.
No, can't be 100% certain.
No.
Did the council want to see this video? We can move on with the agenda, or we can play it on that time.
I don't know, he's got it there, hasn't he?
Yeah, I managed to get up on the screen now.
That's how I'll do it. So thank you. Hopefully you're more informed about where we're at and approaching. And you can see how the staff are being updated and kept informed along the way with the journey as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Neil. Thank you. So we move right along to the corporate communications.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll ask Andrea to talk through her report for the month of March 2018. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Jason. Through you, Madam Chair. Hi, councillors. I know it seems like 5 minutes I was here talking about February. March was a month of lots of celebrations, and we've already talked about the Queen's Baton Relay today, but we also had Clean Up Australia Day, and we had a work experience person. We had just a lot going on in March, and it was true. There hasn't been any significant movement in major projects in March, most people have been too busy doing celebrations and other events. I did note that in this report I did not update what the March social media stats were. I was getting all excited about our new social media reporting tool and forgot to put in that our most popular social media post for March was one of the Queen's Baton relay posts, of which there were many, and it had nearly 600 reactions and 17 comments just on that one post, so that was the most popular post on Facebook for March. Hot topics in the media for March were solar farms, flying foxes and CQ Inland Port following that announcement from Member Flynn. Live streaming, we had 103 viewers of our live streaming council meetings in March, which averages about 20 per meeting. We cannot differentiate whether they are external or internal people who are doing this. The highlight for me personally in March was a very much appreciated opportunity to attend a 4-day course in Brisbane on community-based social marketing. This course, once you do it, is often described as life-changing, and I can see why now. Despite the title, it's really got not a lot to do with marketing and communication. It's more about using a process to drive behavioural change, and it stems with environmental programs. With your indulgence, I'd like to bring a presentation to a strategic briefing on this program, because it's certainly going to save council money and it'll certainly save us a lot of effort, and I believe without a shadow of a doubt that we'll get a better take-up of our programs where we're looking for behaviour change. So we're talking about things like littering or maybe dog dyslexia, or there's a whole list of things, but it's moving away from just that information scattering based kind of communications, awareness campaigns, into really delving and finding out what people's barriers or perceived barriers and benefits are to changing their behaviour and addressing that. And it's really terrific. It's been taken up by a lot of councils worldwide, and I sincerely believe it will be a very good thing. So the presenter gave us a PowerPoint presentation, lots of great examples, and I look forward to bringing that to you at a later time. And that wraps up communications.
So what was that program called?
It's called Community-Based Social Marketing, or CBS in short.
So, Andrew, if you could bring a report to this meeting or to strategy.
Yeah.
Just on the first page of your report, you've got under the project updates, you've got advocacy strategy. This project is on hold until higher priority projects are completed. Do you mean that until they're prioritised rather than completed? Because if we're going to complete the higher priority, it's a wording thing, I think.
It probably is a wording thing, you're right. It's just that in the order of the other projects that are on the agenda right now, that one is not right up the top.
No, that's fine.
So you do these reports on a monthly basis? Seems to be going often, doesn't it?
Every month. It seems to come up very often. Yeah. And that's the way we're able to measure what we do.
So you do them every month rather than, like, how often do you present them to us?
Yeah, at this meeting.
Yeah, well, It seems to be, it seems yesterday since you were here.
I know. I know. I think there might be a little glitch in the cycle for the last one there, that everyone is a bit late.
Yeah, I just wonder whether we need them monthly.
Through you, Madam Chair, we can look at the report content and the frequency of that as well. If you'd like to make it bi-monthly, we do a few bi-monthly scenarios at the
Yeah,
moment.
because it only seems like yesterday we had, there's a lot of work put into that, probably, you know, I don't know, just take up a lot of pages and you print it out. I just wonder, you know, how much time and effort it takes to do it monthly.
I would do it monthly anyway, because I like to keep an eye on the
Where
figures.
you're going yourself.
Yes, but whether you would need to have it presented monthly is.
Yeah, I just,
Up to you.
seems like a bit of an overkill really, doesn't it?
So if we maybe had a bi-monthly report to this committee?
Yeah, I only me talking, I mean, I just, yeah, I don't think we probably need it monthly. I'd hate to see it just put in there just for the sake of filling up the meeting.
Certainly, Jason,
It is good to see the trends. Quarterly? Yeah.
Good to hear.
Again, well, to me, it's interesting to see the trends, and if you don't have it monthly, you don't see those trends. Unless you've got it over a time, longer period, but it's one of those things.
Madam Chair, we might take the feedback on board and see, there might be things that we can translate into a fairly concise monthly report and other things that we do at different intervals. Just to
Maybe a
sort of mix it up.
concise monthly one emailed to us or through Docs on Tap or something,
Yeah.
and then a quarterly report face to face. That be better?
Happy to take
Have a look at it
that.
anyway, because, yeah, it just seems like you're spending a lot of time explaining these things to us, and going through every section of it. And I mean, it's nice to see the trends,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I don't know.
I can probably, I'd like to be able to produce it more graphically, a bit like what Sandy does with the safety and health.
Hmm,
Might be able to do that a little bit more frequently and have a more in-depth one for you.
yeah. Good, thank
Thanks,
you.
Heidi. Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Departmental updates.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I won't go through these in any detail, councillors. Probably a couple of points to raise under the corporate services banner. You'll see some positive feedback around our cyber resilience testing. And you'd already raised this topic, Councillor Nixon, so we are getting better as an organisation in how we manage and educate our folk around that. There's a regular report back through the Audit and Risk Management Committee on our cyber resilience and the program of work we're undertaking there. And really it's an education piece still for our organisation, but it's good to see the significant improvements on people's responses and performance as a result of that education. The other point to note, we are subject to audit this week and next, so we have the external auditors on site from BDOs, so they're doing their controls and testing work this week as part of our annual audit. And the operational plan under the governance and risk section there, we have created our first draft of the 2018-19 plan, so we'll be in a position to bring that back to council either late in April or early in May in advance of the budget preparation. So that report has been developed in parallel with the budget, and you'll see some of that through the workshops over the next couple of weeks as well. And the next audit committee meeting is at the end of the month on the 30th of April.
And have asked that the insurance, the insurances that we were talking about yesterday actually go through the risk assessment to the audit committee, so that'll be taken to audit committee on the 30th of April as well.
There are a number of reports there from the CEO, councillors, in relation to his activity. I'm happy to take questions if I can on those, or the councillors that may have been there, particularly at the rock activity or the other forums, might wish to provide further commentary back to the committee. Otherwise, I'll take those as read, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sure. Jason, just a comment about on page 55, the rocks from across Queensland, and there's a lot of synergies there, and it's mostly about transport and road infrastructure. And just, I mean, this is probably not leadership and governments, but it comes up here. The federal government's Infrastructure Australia program has been, they've sent out a prioritised listing of infrastructure development, and there's only 3 projects that can be called, that can be considered as rural and remote, and they're in Western Australia and the Northern Territory. So it's interesting that the federal government, roll out their Northern Australia white paper, but they're not considering any rural and remote infrastructure development in Queensland. So that's something that just highlights what we're on about from rock perspective, but it's not being taken up by federal government.
So should that be taken on to the Australian Local Government Association conference?
No, Chair, through you, I mean, I can add some commentary to those. I was actually present at the forum. Chair Christine rightly raises that despite the geographical differences in all of those rocks right across the length and breadth of Queensland, the reality is that almost all of them, and obviously Scott does a really good job at jotting those things down. It was all about, and bearing in mind those rocks are groups of councils that represent, I suppose, the vast majority of the 77 councils in Queensland. There was an absolute common denominator that it was all about logistics, the lack of and/or the lack of funding, and certainly you can see through there that I suppose a political cycle that seems to focus on everything else. It was all probably the boring things about regional Australia that is completely common across all these rocks. This exercise by LGAQ was certainly to use the data collected from the Rock Forum to make sure that, I suppose, in terms of policy that, with the impending elections and or policy positions that people are going to adopt in the next 12 months, that obviously there needed to be a gathering of information, and I suspect that they would have been greatly surprised by the fact that there was just that level of similarity across those, I guess you'd say, priorities that each of those rocks brought forward. And notwithstanding, Infrastructure Australia sort of, I suppose, philosophical change to looking at supporting potential rather than sort of trying to measure, I suppose, the need for infrastructure of, people and or activity past points. They are now starting to look at other, I suppose you'd say, factors and criteria that might bring some of these forward. And notwithstanding the fact that I suppose through the RDA structure, they've tried to identify those through a roadmap and other, I suppose, forecasting units. But the reality is there's a clear direction there in the rocks that, as far as they're concerned in regional Australia, and not all of them are particularly regional, but in each rock there are regional parts of those rocks. There's a real feeling that, even with the current planning, and this commentary was sort of subsidised by, I guess, speakers John McVeigh, and certainly great work as Mayor of Brisbane, but certainly he's the chair of the Greater Southern Mayors, Council of Mayors. The commonality is about that, whether it's a hub and significant, outlying communities and other connectivity, it's about making sure that product and manufacturing and everything is linked correctly. The question then is about our state planning. Does it match these expectations? And then things like the CSIRO transit tool, concepts like IQ-RAP, are they cognizant and I suppose, representative of where people see their critical infrastructure being or located? And obviously, if you read through some of those reports, there's a report there from the Port of Brisbane, and, you know, notwithstanding the volume and the capacity, you know, you can see the significant difficulties they've got with just access. But it's all about product movement, logistics, and cost of moving freight, and obviously access, you know, connectivity and access. So a very clear message. Yeah.
Yes, certainly. So, Mayor, is that, as Councillor Nixon says, is this something that should be raised?
Well, I think probably what you'll find is your LGAQ will be drafting this up into a format, and that will be, and obviously feedback to all the stakeholder ops and councils, and as an accurate, I suppose you say, measure for it. And I think you'll find it'll go forward from there, Councillor Nixon. So I think they'll be certainly taken forward very clearly.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Thank you. Jason, what would we like to?
So that'll be the end of the departmental updates, Madam Chair.
Just,
General business.
general business? Any general business before we go into closed session?
Mr. Chair, just about 2 or 3 things. The annual report's out, I just had a little read through it all. I get confused. 2 months ago, I think, or 2 months ago, I just asked at this meeting whether or not or someone can give us some explanation about where we're going with the values of the organisation in regards to getting those values embedded in our people. I just noticed the values that are in our annual report are different to the values that we've accepted as our new strategic plan. So I don't know whether there's a time difference in that. Maybe there is, but those values are not the values that we've accepted in the new strategic plan. So I'm confused now. What are the values of the organisation? Because I thought we'd accepted the values of the organisation being respect and integrity, accountability, providing value, and there's only 4: commitment to teamwork. That's not what's in the report. Anyway, I suppose I'm just sort of thinking that if I'm confused, I'd hate to be a punter by the workers or the employees of this organisation, understanding what are our values, what does the organisation stand for, what drives us, and what makes us want to do things in the way in which I suppose we can reflect the values held by this corporation. So again, I just think that, for some reason, not for sure what happened from February when I asked the question about what's happening in driving your values into the organisation. To, as I said, the annual report today sort of shows me that there's some distance between what I thought we accepted as values and what we are now reporting as our values. And as I said, that might be a timing thing because it was like 2016, 17, that might have been our values at the time, but whether or not that's a good thing to keep bringing up those and not adopting new things, I think is maybe something we need to think about. The second one is that I really think you're doing a great job at Toto, and I really think that the change management process, the work that's going into that whole process of getting best value out of what we're doing in regards to the rollout of Tech One, plus the Microsoft, some of the new Microsoft opportunities in the cloud are great. But just from a governance point of view, there's been one major report done in regards to, I suppose, separation of elected members, both at state and local level, in regards to information, the way in which our technology disseminates between our personal and private stuff and council stuff, and what are the challenges for us in that regime. I suppose I just think it's one area that I know it's a little tiny part of what we're rolling out, but there's a real opportunity for us now to have some separation between all of those things. I think I brought up in my email system at home, pulls everything into my PV Bell, my private email address, and I think the report that came out in December last year, in regards to some CMC applications and some other work that was done into information management, is all things that are done for local government should be contained within the data management of local government. So we're introducing new data management systems. Where are all of those emails that are related to, or any information that I might generate, or any other council might generate, in regards to local government going, and are they missing our systems, and are they being kept and therefore held within that system? So it's just a little tiny thing on the edge, but I'd just like to see if we as a leadership group could start, and governance group could start to review that. Because I think there's we're going to get, someone's going to get slam dunked one day about, you had this meeting with so-and-so and the information come from your personal computer, it's about council business, it's no longer that information's been trapped or collected for local government. So I'm making some personal decisions to do some stuff with my own personal IT at the moment, but I don't know whether it's the right thing to do. And some of that costs, a new lap. I'm going to get a new iPad and it'll cost me $1,500 to get a nice one. It's an iPad Pro, which will allow me to do the stuff that I need to do, some separation stuff out. But so I just don't know whether I'm doing the right thing. Because, is it going to meet what are these new future regimes? So we brought it up before. So it's just one thing I'd like to see if the next meeting we could have some response on. And the last one is I just wondering if we could also go in and review the council remuneration policy and bring that back as a policy for us to review at some stage as well.
If I could just
I'm happy.
make a comment through the chair with the values. Just like at the little CAN meeting at the hospital in Springshire, they have the values out the front.
In the kitchen?
No, in your agenda,
Everywhere.
at the front, the values are there so that everybody's aware that they are the values set. And I think that it's a good idea and looks good when you pick up your minutes and your values are right there to let you know that that's where you're heading. Yes.
Through you, Madam Chair, just a couple of responses, Councillor Bell. In relation to the values, you're correct. The 2016-17 annual report is based on the old corporate plan and its performance. So those are the old values that council had for that reporting period. So for the new budget and the new reporting period for the 2017-18 year, we are working under the values adopted by council, early to mid 2017. At the last committee meeting, I did bring back a report, mostly verbal, and showed councillors. I talked about designs that we've had done around some collateral, whether they be water bottles or coffee cups or mouse mats that have been done in regards to promoting the values of the organisation, the key priorities and the mission, visions, values. I'd have to check with Andrew, but that stuff's all been ordered now, so it should be imminent in its delivery. The values are embedded into the toolbox talks that we have right across the organisation in terms of getting a broader understanding with the staff. And I know that we're talking about having those introduced into the meeting agendas. Certainly they sit in some of the other internal meeting agendas, so bringing them front and centre into what we do is in our current thinking. So we are working on that. If that's not visible to the elected council, then we need to be better at making sure you see that, but we're concentrating that right through the organisation. In relation to the managing information topic, yes, we have that in the radar, Councillor Bell, about what is a public record and how we're able to separate that information for councillors, and between myself, Kale and Aaron will bring back a report for the next committee meeting about how that is being progressed, because managing our information and data is something that's front of mind through the technology project. And I'm happy to confirm the reports last adopted by Council on the remuneration and the current policy that provides the benefits, etc. to councillors, so I can bring that back for the next meeting. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any more? So, somebody move we go into closed session, please. Councillor Brimthorne, second Councillor Syphon, all those in favour? Thank you.
Andrew, that signs on.
So good to go. Thank you. So there's been, come out of closed session and there's no resolutions to come out of closed session. So I will declare the meeting closed. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh, on time too.
It's good for change.
He has been. That's not.
That's not broadcast. Andrea, can you confirm whether or not the microphones are working?
That's too difficult for me.
Maybe it was up in my
Scott, the only things that aren't working are the remote ones at the end desks. Everything else is working, the live stream works, the remotes.
Yeah, I'm right, we're on.
Right, okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We are, in fact, the cameras are rolling. Welcome, everyone, to our general meeting for today. Councillors, we have had a longer day. We started at 8:30 this morning with our finance and infrastructure this morning, so early start and a good day. And obviously Marnie made it back here to be with us on this special occasion, so thank you very much for getting here. Everyone is present, no apologies. Leave of absence, here we go, Mr. Cypher, yeah.
Oh, well, I could put it in next meeting, but the 15th of May.
Okay, well, we might as well do it now. So someone happy to move Councillor Cypher's leave of absence, moved by